Death in a Capsule. The 1982 Tylenol murders. Imagine grabbing a bottle of Tylenol from your local pharmacy, expecting relief from a headache only to face a gruesome death within hours. In 1982, this nightmare became reality for 7 people in Chicago. Poisoned by cyanide-laced capsules in a case that shook the nation and changed how we trust over-the-counter drugs forever. This is the story of the Tylenol murders, a crime that remains one of America's most baffling, unsolved mysteries. The Outbreak. September 1982. The tragedy began on September 29, 1982, in the Chicago suburbs. A 12-year-old girl, Mary Kellerman, woke up with a sore throat and took an extra-strength Tylenol capsule from her family's medicine cabinet in Elk Grove Village. Within hours, she collapsed and died. Her parents, devastated, initially thought it was a sudden illness. That same morning, in Arlington Heights, 27-year-old postal worker Adam Janus took Tylenol for a minor ailment. He suffered a violent seizure and died shortly after. Later that day, Adam's younger brother, Stanley, 25, and Stanley's wife, Teresa, 19, gathered at Adam's home to mourn. Both took capsules from the same Tylenol bottle to ease their grief-induced headaches. Within minutes, they too collapsed and died. By early October, 3 more victims were identified. Mary McFarland, 31, a retail worker in Elmhurst. Paula Prince, 35, a flight attendant in Chicago. And Mary Reiner, 27, a new mother in Winfield. All had taken extra-strength Tylenol and died suddenly, often within hours. Panic began to spread as authorities scrambled to find a connection. The discovery: cyanide poisoning. By October 1, 1982, investigators confirmed a horrifying link. Each victim had consumed Tylenol capsules laced with potassium cyanide, a poison so potent that a dose smaller than a grain of salt could kill in minutes. Autopsies revealed cyanide levels far exceeding lethal amounts in all 7 victims. The contaminated capsules were traced to bottles purchased at various Chicago area stores, including Walgreens, Jewel Food, and a Frank's Camera store. Unlike typical poisonings, there was no pattern in the victims' ages, occupations, or locations. They ranged from a schoolgirl to a young couple to a working mother. This randomness intensified public fear, as anyone buying Tylenol could be at risk. Testing showed that the cyanide was not present during manufacturing at Johnson & Johnson, Tylenol's parent company. Instead, someone had opened the capsules, replaced the acetaminophen powder with cyanide, and resealed the bottles, placing them back on store shelves. This act of tampering suggested a deliberate, malicious intent, but the scale and motive remained unclear. The investigation, a race against time. The discovery of cyanide triggered a massive response. Johnson & Johnson, a trusted name in pharmaceuticals, recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol nationwide, costing over $100 million, an unprecedented move at the time. Chicago police, the FBI, and the FDA launched a joint investigation, combing through pharmacies, warehouses, and manufacturing plants. They found 8 contaminated bottles in total, 5 linked to deaths and 3 others in stores, containing capsules with up to 65 milligrams of cyanide, thousands of times the lethal dose. Investigators initially explored whether the tampering occurred at a single store or across multiple locations. The bottles came from different lots, suggesting the perpetrator targeted various retail points in the Chicago area. Theories ranged from a disgruntled employee to a lone actor with a personal vendetta, but no clear suspect emerged early on. The randomness of the victims and the lack of a discernible motive frustrated law enforcement. Was this an act of terrorism, a personal grudge, or a twisted experiment? The absence of answers fueled speculation. The prime suspect: James W. Lewis. In early October, a breakthrough seemed possible. When Johnson & Johnson received an extortion letter, the sender, James W. Lewis, a 36-year-old tax consultant with a history of fraud, demanded $1 million to stop the killings. The letter, postmarked from New York, included specific details about the tampering method, raising suspicions. Lewis had a troubled past, including a 1978 arrest in Kansas City for an unrelated murder case, though charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. His criminal history and the letter's timing made him a prime suspect. In December 1982, Lewis was arrested in New York City. He admitted to writing the extortion letter, but denied any role in the poisonings, claiming he sent it to exploit the crisis for profit. During interrogations, he provided a detailed hypothetical explanation of how the tampering could have been done: buying bottles, lacing capsules in a private setting, and returning them to stores. His account was eerily accurate, but no physical evidence tied him to the cyanide or the tampered bottles. In 1983, Lewis was convicted of extortion and sentenced to 10 years in prison. He served until 1995 and maintained his innocence in the murders. In 2010, the FBI reopened the case, searching Lewis's Massachusetts home and collecting his DNA. Despite extensive testing, no conclusive link to the poisonings was found. Lewis died in 2023 at age 76, leaving the case without a definitive resolution. While he remains the most prominent suspect, some investigators believe others may have been involved, given the lack of direct evidence against him. The impact, a turning point for drug safety. The Tylenol murders sent shockwaves through the United States, eroding public trust in over-the-counter medications. Shoppers emptied medicine cabinets, and pharmacies pulled Tylenol from shelves. The media dubbed it a national crisis, with fear spreading beyond Chicago as consumers nationwide questioned the safety of everyday drugs. Johnson & Johnson acted swiftly to rebuild trust. In November 1982, they introduced tamper-evident packaging, including foil seals and plastic wraps, a first for the industry. They also replaced capsules with solid caplets, which are harder to tamper with. These innovations became standard across pharmaceuticals. In 1983, the U.S. Congress passed the Tylenol bill, formerly the Federal Anti-Tampering Act, making product tampering a federal crime punishable by up to 7 years in prison. The FDA mandated stricter packaging guidelines, requiring triple-seal protections for over-the-counter drugs. These changes remain a cornerstone of modern drug safety. The case also inspired copycat crimes. In the years following, similar tamperings were reported, including a 1986 incident involving cyanide-laced Excedrin in Washington state, which killed 2 people. These incidents reinforced the need for robust safety measures and heightened public awareness of product vulnerabilities. The victims and their legacy. The 7 victims came from different walks of life, united only by their tragic fate. Mary Kellerman was a bright middle schooler. Adam Janus was a devoted family man. Stanley and Teresa Janus were newlyweds planning their future. Mary McFarland worked tirelessly at a retail store. Paula Prince was a vibrant flight attendant. Mary Reiner had just given birth to her 4th child. Their deaths left families shattered and a nation grappling with the randomness of the crime. The case today, an unsolved mystery. As of 2025, the Tylenol murders remain one of America's most infamous cold cases. The FBI and Chicago Police Department periodically revisit the investigation, leveraging advancements in DNA analysis and forensic technology. The lack of physical evidence from the 1980s, such as fingerprints or surveillance footage, complicates efforts. And Lewis's death in 2023 dimmed hopes of a confession. Some theories suggest multiple perpetrators or an unknown individual with access to cyanide, possibly from an industrial source, but no new suspects have emerged. Public fascination persists, fueled by documentaries, podcasts, and true crime discussions. The case raises enduring questions about vulnerability, trust, and justice. Could modern forensics unlock new clues? Will the families ever find closure? The answers remain out of reach, but the investigation continues, driven by the hope that one day the truth will surface. A lasting warning. The Tylenol murders exposed the fragility of everyday products and the devastating impact of a single act of malice. 7 lives were lost, but their legacy reshaped how we protect ourselves from unseen threats. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, a like or subscribe would really help me keep going.